Hello, my name is Thomas Prakaska, and this is the second part of the series about how to generate the REST APIs. Um, in this video, I will show you how to test the generated code. So the first way how to test your generated code is unit tests. So as you can see, I just write in the root directory of the API, I just write Mocha, and they're automatically executed a unit test. So you can see this is like the first step, first thing which you would probably check uh, in order to see that the code is valid. Now, what is much more interesting, of course, is the behavior of the generated REST API. So in the first video, we kind of created some sort of model, and we created the REST API here, which we tested with Postman. But imagine that you have a REST API that has 40, 50 endpoints. So you don't want to go through all the endpoints here in Postman and see which one doesn't work. So there's a way how to actually automatically test the REST API's behavior, and it's this blueprint file, which also comes with the generated REST API. Now, if I open the blueprint file, as you can see here, it contains all the endpoints the REST API has, and it also describes the response, and it also describes the request. So this is a perfect way how to describe your REST API. You describe the endpoints, you describe what the client needs to send and what the client receives. Now, if I look here, this is the page of API Blueprint. There are a couple of tools which you can actually use for your blueprint file, and one of the tools is called Dread. Now, what the Dread does is that it grabs the blueprint file, and it gets also an address where the REST API is running, and it executes all the calls from the blueprint file against the real REST API, and compares the response it gets to the response specified in the blueprint file. So this is a perfect way how to see which endpoint is working and which needs to be filled manually. So let's go to the blueprint folder, and let's run dread blueprint.apib, and then localhost 3000, I think yes, it's 3001. So this is the address of my generated REST API, and if I run this, I get also some parsing warnings, and as you can see now it executes all the calls and compares the response from the server with the response specified in the API blueprint file. So it did 8 requests. As you can see in the model, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. And all of them are matching. That means that the response from the generated REST API is exactly the same as the one specified with in the blueprint file. So all our endpoints has been recognized and properly generated. Now, there's one thing with the blueprint file, and that is that the blueprint file has been generated before we actually entered some data, as you may have seen in the first video. So I had to manually insert these IDs here, here, and here, because Dread needs them to actually do a call and to get the data to make the call successful. so it gets the proper response from the server. Now this is of course nothing really nice to enter it manually. So what I created in the generator is that if you're using one model and very often for the generation, then you can use this scope helper where you define your URIs and you define the parameters including the IDs. I mean, I guess this problem is quite specific for MongoDB, because MongoDB has this kind of crazy IDs. If you would take MySQL and you would set all the IDs to 1 and make sure that you have some data and use, of course, incrementing number for IDs, then I guess you should be fine. Now, one way how to go around this is to actually sort the calls. So the post goes first, followed by get, put, and the last is delete. So we actually create first some objects into database and then use the IDs of the created objects to do the other calls. The thing is that Dread doesn't support this. Dread only sorts these endpoints based on the method, not based on the URI. So just to explain, when I have this kind of call, for when I want to add a new player to team number 12, I need to be sure that there is actually a team number 12 first. So I need to sort the request based on the ID. This is one of the possible future works. I mean, to solve this problem, or to look into this problem in more depth. Yeah, this is basically about testing. 2 ways. First, unit testing. The second one, Dread. Problem with Dread that it requires real IDs. You can enter them manually, or you can actually use the generated the scope helper in the generator, so it inserts it for you when you're using the same model very often. That's it, and I will see you in the third part when I will show you the GitHub integration.